If you've ever thought about traveling internationally with your pet, you know it's a ton of paperwork and rules. It's complicated. But what if there was a better way? Today, we're going to dive into how one country decided to tackle this problem head on, basically creating a digital passport for its furry citizens. So, seriously? How does a country make sure every single dog and cat that crosses its borders is accounted for, healthy, and has the right owner? It's a massive logistical puzzle, right? Well, the Philippines came up with a really modern solution. All right, so let's dig into how this whole new pet policy got started. The answer to that big puzzle isn't some vague guideline. Nope, it's laid out in a specific official government document that totally changed the game for pet travel in the country. And here it is. This is the actual document, Administrative Order Number 24 from 2004. Now, I know it just looks like a standard government paper, but trust me, what's written in here created a whole new system for identifying pets. Let's break down exactly what it says. Okay, so check this out. The order was signed on September 6, 2004. And get this, the document itself says it would become official law just 15 days after it was published. So this wasn't some long, drawn-out debate. It was a clear, decisive action to put a new standard in place, and to do it quickly. Now we get to the real heart of the policy, the microchip mandate. So what did this new rule actually demand? This is where things get really interesting because the entire system depends on one specific piece of technology. The main point of the order was to create a mandatory identification and registry system. In plain English, the government made it a requirement, not just a suggestion, to have a completely foolproof way of identifying certain animals. And here's the thing that's so fascinating. The order was incredibly specific. It didn't just say animals need to be identifiable. It mandated one particular method, and I'm quoting here, using the microchip technology. That was a pretty big deal, embracing a modern solution for a very old problem. So maybe the best way to think about it is this. That tiny microchip is basically a permanent digital passport for a pet. It has a unique ID number that can't get lost like a color or a tag can. It's a tiny, scannable device that links your pet directly to you and their records forever. Okay, so a mandatory microchip sounds like a pretty big deal. But did this apply to every single pet in the country? Well, the order was actually very clear about who it was for. Let's take a look at exactly who this rule applies to. The rule specifically applies to all dogs and cats being brought into the Philippines or being taken out of the Philippines. And it doesn't matter if they're for breeding or if they're just family pets. If a dog or cat is crossing that border, this rule applies to them. You're probably asking, why go to all this trouble? Right? Why mandate one specific technology? The administrative order actually gives us two key reasons, and they really get to the very heart of why this whole policy was even created in the first place. The first goal is really straightforward and practical, to make sure there's proper identification of animals. With a standard microchip system, the authorities can quickly and accurately identify an animal, trace where it came from, and verify its health records. It just takes all the guesswork out of it. But there's a deeper principle here, too. The order says the system must be consistent with animal welfare considerations. And this is so important because it shows the policy isn't just about control, it's about protection. A microchipped pet that gets lost can be easily reunited with its owner, and that is a massive win for animal welfare. And just to highlight how official this all was, the order came straight from the Department of Agriculture. As you can see, it has the signature of the secretary at the time, Arthur C. Yap. This wasn't some minor regulation. This was a big, top-down policy decision with the full weight of the government behind it. So, how does it all work in practice? Well, the Department of Agriculture created the rule, but it's the Bureau of Animal Industry, or BAI for short, that handles the day-to-day stuff. They're the ones managing the registry and setting out all the specific procedures for getting a pet microchipped and registered. This move by the Philippines way back in 2004 was really forward-thinking, creating a digital passport system for pets. It kind of makes you wonder, as global travel becomes more and more common for both people and their animal companions, what does the future of international pet safety look like? What's going to be the next big step?